G'day guys, how are we going? Well, I'm currently camped up here beside Blue Rag Range Track up here in the Victorian High Country. I've got Mount Blue Rag going on at the back out there. I've got this magnificent sunset that's going to happen here tonight. It's going to be absolutely amazing. But you know what? When it comes to Ridgetop full drive tracks, this Blue Rag Range Track would have to be one of the best that you guys are going to do anywhere in Australia. But there's only one small problem. You guys are going to have to wait till tomorrow morning before I can show you. So in the meantime, I'm going to kick back, I'm going to watch this sunset unfold, and we'll see you guys in the morning. Oh, g'day guys, how are we going? Well, just getting started back on Blue Rag Range Track from that magnificent spot where I camped a bit further up, but I'll show that when we go past. But as I mentioned, this Blue Rag Range Track would have to be one of the best Ridgetop full drive tracks you can drive anywhere in Australia, so let's go and see why. And when the conditions are certainly like they are that I'm going to drive it now, look, there's no rain, the track's really dry, so it's in reasonable condition. But if this was a wet track, it'd be a very, very different track to drive. So we'll go and have a look at it, but really only suited to vehicles that do have low range four-wheel drive. Not suited at all if you've got just an all-wheel drive or something like that. So four-wheel drive only with low range gearing is an absolute must. So as you climb up that first section straight off the Dargo High Plain Road, which isn't that far to get up to here, then you start to get that first glimpse of the view of what makes this track so exciting. But that's only the start of it at the moment, but once we get a bit further along, the view on this track is absolutely mind-blowing. You can see the summit there way in the distance. That's where we're going to eventually get to. This is just a track that is so well worth driving. If you're in this Dargo area, well worth coming and check it out. This is where I ended up camping here last night. Still a little bit of firewood sitting there for the next person when they come along. This is the view that I had. Absolutely fantastic. That's where I watched the sunset last night. Just a stunning view. Have a look at that. So this is the first real drop off here, and this is feeding in quite a steep drop off. So first gear low range all the way down through here. Just crawl your way down. Again, tyre pressures are absolutely key. Got them down at my standard tyre pressures of 20 and 18. Just walk your way down here nice and slowly. But again, if this was a wet track, you'd be wanting to maybe think about twice where you come down here, because it is very steep. And you can see the track on the other side, climbing its way up the other side over there. So we'll check that out when we get over. This is a good hill. I know camera angles just will not show just really how steep this track is, but this is feeding, and this is really steep, this track, this section here. A couple of wombat holes in it too, so just can be careful on wheel placement, particularly if you don't have lockers or if you've got independent front end suspension. Be really careful on how you go about travelling over those wombat holes. Keep those tyres on the ground. Made it to the bottom of that first downhill steep section. Now here's this other side, and you got to climb up the other side here. And again, this is very steep like that side. So I'm going to go up here, second gear low range, go back to second there, and we'll walk our way up here. A bit rocky in spots, a bit uneven, but a good little section of track all the same. Now, here's a section here that's going to probably test out a few of those people that don't have lockers or got independent front end suspension. Some fairly deep wombat holes here. Now give it another month or so, this will be a very different track. especially that section there, once there's a few vehicles going through that. See, with it being so rocky here, that's why you need another reason why you need a good set of tyres on your vehicle. Highway tyres and that sort of stuff, road tyres just won't cut it in this sort of terrain, especially if you're going to put low tyre pressures on them. But here we are now at the junction there where North Basalt comes through, so if you're going to come through from Talbotville, you can come through that way as well. Not a bad run through from there. So now we'll continue on, going through the seasonal closure gate now, which is all well and truly open. And now on the final section, up to the top. Now it's only about 7 k's from the Dargo High Plain Road to the summit where the trig point is up there at 1700 odd metres. So it doesn't take long to get there. Not that, quite a short little drive, so, but certainly one that's well worth doing, that's for sure. As you can see, many sections of this track, they've got lots of rocks in it. So this is why, I just can't emphasise that point where, good set of tyres, low tyre pressures in particular, less chance of getting punches in these sort of tracks. Now we start to open up on this ridge. Look at this ridge. The Ridgetop that I keep talking about, this full drive Ridgetop track. Have a look at the views out here. Just absolutely magnificent. Stunning country. Look at that. See the track going off there in the distance. Summit of Mount Blue Rag up the top there. Beautiful country. Okay, it's just approaching now, just another bit of a reasonably steepy sort of an up section. Getting a lot of stone, a lot of rock in it, so it's a good bit of traction as long as your tyre pressures are down nice and low. But see here, we've got a few more wombat holes coming into it. I'll go back into second gear, low range for this one. Looking alright. It's going to be a bit loose in spots, but you can just pick your lines through there. You should get through there, no worries. Pull up here and I'll show you the view out the side here. Now one year I came up here about 3 years ago and I camped right at this very spot. Have a look at that. Just take you out to the edge there. Have a look at that view. Now that is something else. Still see the track heading up there. This is where I camped here one night, I'll say about 3 years ago, camped right here. Just an absolutely beautiful spot. I'll continue on, Top is near. Not far away. Have a look at that. Now that's looking right across there to Billy Goat Bluff Track and the Pinnacles. If you follow that ridge all the way to the very end and just where it drops off, well, that's the Pinnacle. That's where the fire tower is, way over there. Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. Beautiful. Now these last couple of bits here, again, there's a few steepish pinches here, and again you're right now on this ridge. As I say, this would have to be feeding them one of the top full drive Ridgetop track drives you're going to ever do anywhere in Australia, I reckon. It's just magnificent. Second gear low range, pretty much doing nearly all this in second gear, apart from those few steep downhill sections where I'm dropping back to first for those. But yeah, second gear for me is working really nicely up in this track. Track there somewhere. And that there now, you can start to see that final climb to the top. Now it's really this last probably 300 metres where it is fairly steep, like yeah, pretty steep. So you just got to pick your line through there and get up to the top, and then I'll show you this magnificent view when we get up the top up here. But it's pretty amazing. Alright, coming to the final climb now. This is fairly income steep, this last bit. So we'll get up the top here, we'll drop over the top here, flattens out a bit. Now if you need to stop here and have a bit of a look, or maybe even go for a bit of a walk if you need to, go for a bit of a walk up there, and because it's quite a daunting sort of a look here if you're coming up here for the first time. So go and have a bit of a look if you need to. It's better to be safe than sorry, that's for sure. So I'm going to lock in second gear low range, and here we go. So just got to pick your line through here. Then it's a very solid rocky sort of a base, so there is a lot of traction as long as your tyre pressures are down nice and low. Just walk your way up here, no worries. Then you come to the famous trig marker at the top of Mount Hotham. These trig points they're used for surveying back in quite a while ago. They're sort of the GPS, the modern technology's taken over nowadays, but where they don't sort of quite so much use them now for surveying. But certainly bushwalkers would use these quite regularly for, you know, navigating their way through. So still very handy for those sort of people that are walking their way through this magnificent country. So we'll just park up here. It's going to be a bit windy up here today, but still the view is fantastic. Sitting up here at about 1700 odd, and that's the view. So now we'll get out here and I'll go and show you, because it is well worth checking it out. Come up here, spend a bit of time. You know, it's really good if you can get up here, maybe have some lunch up here if you've got a nice day. It's probably going to be a bit windy if you want to come up and have lunch up here, but it's certainly well worth a drive. It's just absolutely magnificent country. So we'll get out and check it out. Righto, just leaving this beautiful view up here at the top of Mount Hotham. So I'm going to head back now. I'll show you a few sections on the way back, a few of those down sections and a couple of up ones. So the track's very different once you go one way and then you go back the other way. So it can be a very different track. So we'll show you a few of those sections before we get back out on the Dargo High Plain Road. Now the drop off the summit here, yeah, it's quite steep. This little section here, and then when you get to the next bit down here where it really drops off quite steeply. It can be a little bit daunting if you're doing it for the first time. You're coming up to the summit up here and to check out the view. Well, this little drop off here can be a little bit on the daunting side if you're not feeling used to it, because it does drop off quite steeply. Camera angles certainly don't show you just how steeply this is, but first gear low range all the way down here, and here we go. So again, you just want to make sure you keep your vehicle in a straight line as possible. You don't want it to get any side angles or anything like that, particularly on a steep slope like this. So just keep it going straight down the hill, nice and slowly. Let the engine braking do all the work. First gear low range, working no worries. Okay, so here we are again now, approaching the junction here where North Basalt Knob Track comes through. So if you want to go to Talbotville, you can certainly go that way. But we're going to head down Blue Rag and go down this section here. Here we go. See the track there on the other side. Again, just walking down here just nicely. And the engine braking do all its work. Getting down here, no worries. Just approaching this last sort of really steep section on Blue Rag Range Track. Now this is, yeah, a very steep section of track. Certainly the camera's not going to show you really just how steep this track is. But at the moment, with it being sort of nice and dry as it is, but it is pretty loose and pretty dusty, so just need to keep a fair bit of momentum up. Second gear low range is what I'll be selecting to get up here, and should get us up there all the way to the top. In it, yes, there is a fair bit of traction in it. Some loose rock as well, so you just got to be very careful with all those sort of parts of the track. Just watch out for these wombat holes. You know, again, if you haven't got lockers, or you get a few issues with those if you don't pick the right lines on getting through some of those wombat holes. It's a good up section this. It goes for a fair way, maybe probably about 500 metres, I reckon. Some more wombat holes coming up here. So again, just pick your lines to get through here. But rear locker will certainly help us, which is what I've got going at the moment. No worries. The sun's bad. The engine's working fairly hard. Sort of revs we're doing, about 2,500 to 3,000 revs at the moment. More wombat holes here, so again, just be very careful of those. Pick those right lines to get through, you'll be right. But yeah, second gear low ranges work well up through there. Again, got tyre pressures nice and low, getting stacks of traction, rear locker in, and just picking those lines where you need to get through. A bit rocky here. Camp spot there from last night. Ripper spot that was. Keep that one in mind for next time. Having still a bit of snow still over there on the backside of Mount Hotham. Now here we are, what, second week in December, and still got snow on the back of the mountain over there. Pretty amazing. Just the last little climb. It's not too bad, this one here, before we get back out onto the Dargo Highplane Road over the other side. So this is just the final climb here now. It's not too bad, this is only a little short one, but the final climb to get back up onto Dargo Highplane Road over the other side. But it's been a good day out. This is a great track, well worth coming and check it out. A few more wombat holes coming up here. A few wombat holes in this track now. Go back into second here. We'll go up the rock ledge. There we go. Let's have a look at that snow over there on the back of Mount Hotham, eh? Who would have thought? Here we are, second week in December, and we've still got snow lying around on the back of the mountains here. But having said that, it's not all that uncommon for that side of Mount Hotham to still have snow on it this time of year. But magnificent to see. Well, here we are, we're coming now to the end of Blue Rag Range Track, back down onto Dargo High Plain Road. I hope that little trip up to the summit and back again has given you some ideas on what Blue Rag Range Track is now like, and why so many people like to go and drive it for those magnificent views. But I tell you now, that track will change greatly over the next weeks and coming months with a bit more traffic over it. Some of those wombat holes, you know, where they are now, they're going to certainly get a lot bigger and will become a lot more challenging to get through, so just keep those in mind. As long as you pick your right lines, look, just take your time, pick your right line, you'll get through those wombat holes, no worries, and get up and check out that magnificent view. But in the meantime, I'm back down here now on the Dargo High Plain Road, and look forward to seeing you guys on another one of Tim Bates' 4-wheel drive adventures.